Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Teen Titans issue number 27. I love this cover. You know what the biggest problem with this comic book is? The covers. There's too many good covers. Seriously, you can get the Roundhouse variant cover, which is freaking sweet, or this one, which is freaking sweet. No matter how you look at it, no matter which way you swing it, it's freaking sweet. You know, like I know that you'll have like the Art Germ variant covers for like Wonder Woman last week. Oh my god, that was gorgeous. I've actually got it on top of my pile somewhere over here. Anyway, it's not that important. Every so often you can find a really good variant cover someplace. Sometimes the variant cover won't be great, but the other cover will be, the main cover will be awesome. Or there'll be like 16 variant covers. Okay. The problem with Teen Titans right now is no matter which cover you pick up, they're always going to be freaking awesome, which means a lot of times you're either confused as to which one you're going to do, or, which one you're going to buy, or which one, of the other comics you're going to leave on the shelf because you got to have both of these covers. I mean, that's a hell of a problem to have, man. It's a hell of a problem to have. So let's get talking about this comic book. This particular issue is called Let It All Out. Like the Tears for Fears song? Shout. Shout. Okay, let's calm down. The writer is Adam Glass. Bernard Chang is the penciler. Cam Smith is on inks. Marcelo Maiolo is on colors. Rob Lay is the letterer. Giuseppe Camuncoli, Cam Smith, and Tomio Moro did this cover. Alex Garner did the variant cover. And freaking A, dude. So, did you notice that Roundhouse looks more Asian this time? Chinese. He's Chinese, right? His mom is, yeah. He looks more Chinese in this issue than he's looked in any of the other issues as far as I'm concerned. Go figure, since he's sitting down eating his mom's food with the Flash. I like that they had this little bonding moment because they are friends, and this just kind of bonds them a little bit closer. I like that Roundhouse says he didn't have a lot of friends growing up because he was a hugger. And right away I'm thinking of Bailey from WWE and NXT. But, what do you call it? We get a very brief hint of Roundhouse's origin in here, specifically the death of his sister, that his sister died the same way that he got his powers. And he got really philosophical for a moment, which is always rough when you hear a kid getting philosophical, like it was, wow, it was really rough to read. It was beautiful, it was sad, all in the same breath. Who we do get a great variant story, origin story for is Jin. Well, this was cool. She's got a brother named Elias. Go figure, because the story that she's telling, no, the brother sounds a lot more to me like Iblis. Iblis is I guess you basically say it's the Arabic name for Shaitan. For Satan. All right, and not only in the Arabic, the Muslim faith, but also, believe it or not, in the Jewish faith, Satan wasn't a fallen angel. He wasn't an angel. Satan was not an angel. That's just simply not the way it works. It's a misunderstanding, and there are many misunderstandings that the Christians have gotten completely wrong by trying to translate the Old Testament and read it that way, and not having the Talmudic texts to back them up, and all sorts of things like that. Satan is not actually an angel. He is something else. He was created after angels, but before humans. Angels were created out of light. Humans created out of dirt. Jinn were created out of fire. The name for your average jinn is a jinn. Plural is genie. And if they're an evil jinn, then they're called shaitan. An individual shaitan is called a shayateen. So they what do you call it? They basically relive a good portion of Iblis's story in this. The idea that, but they also twisted it a bit. But I'm glad they did, because her brother is Elias, not Iblis. So they basically, I don't know, could you call it cultural appropriation? Why the hell not? We call everything cultural appropriation, right? So it is kind of a form of cultural appropriation, but I don't care. They take this moment and they're like, yeah, the creator created humans. They created angels first, and then they created the shaitan, or the jinn, and then they created humans. But God only created the jinn in order to worship humans. No, not even remotely close. In fact, no matter which faith you take it on, and you could add Christianity to it, the idea that a creator would create anything to worship humans, would create anything to worship anything but the creator himself, that's kind of problematic. You know what I'm saying? So no, they were not made to serve humans, or they were meant to just be on their own and just not interact with humans. That's the idea. That's the lore behind it. Anyway, again, this was simply adapted for a comic book. So I'm cool with it. But that's basically the gist. And you get more on the origin story in here, the idea of the ring and how she actually escaped the name and first appearances of the brother whom she's absolutely terrified of, and her savior, the person who actually saved her. Also, they basically talked about the what the heck is it called? The Black Stone. And that's actually an interesting part of Muslim theology, Muslim history, actually. Well, mysticized a little bit. The idea that a stone came out of the sky. God sent down this stone. You could just say it was a meteorite, whatever, but it's absorbed all the sins of mankind, and it turned from gleaming white to pitch black. And I've seen this stone in Mecca. It's actually in the side of the wall. Everybody's like, oh, people, you have to circumambulate around there. No, it's on the side of the wall. What you're circumambulating around is the Kaaba. And even if the Kaaba isn't there, you're still circumambulating around that spot because that's what you're supposed to do. There have been times when the Kaaba's been torn down and, what's a big deal? But a lot of people don't know the religion. And you could tell just by going back and looking at, what is it, Uncanny X-Men issue number 8. Go and look at some of the comments. I think that was the one where they showed the image of the Kaaba disappearing. Yeah, when Nate Gray made that disappear. Like, the comments I got on that were insane. Absolutely crazy. Like somebody would jump out and freaking attack me if they saw me just because I posted a picture of that. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. Anyway, so yeah, that's just the gist of the history of some of the stuff there. And I only really wanted to go on that stuff because this is drawing upon something. And if I know about the history of something, I will relate it to you guys. But definitely consider checking it out. If there's something that I missed and you want to ask me about, by all means, ask me in the comments. But I did like the way that the actual history, it's almost like that, I guess, according to people's beliefs, people's perceptions, there's a fine line between homage and outright theft. I think it more goes along the lines of intent. This, I look at it as just an homage. There wasn't a blatant ripoff necessarily. I don't know. But I could see people getting upset over this. That's the reason why I even go into the ideology in it in the first place, because some people are going to see this, hear this, and they're going to be so upset, like, oh my God, they're just taking from our culture, but like they're perverting it. And no, it's just a good story. That's all it is. And I genuinely did enjoy this. We've got a really good character in Jin. You can call it representation if you want. And she was really cool with Damien. I think that since she's a Jin, no one can really tell what their sexual orientation is, or this, that, or the other thing, or whatever, unless you're just going to go by certain stories that are in there. So she could very well be bisexual, and that doesn't go against any narrative I've ever seen before. She's just going to be attracted to who she's attracted to, and she's probably going to see a lot more past the idea of human flesh. She's going to see more about like seeing their souls, so to speak. So whether she's into Crush or into Damien or into both, she might have a question, especially since she was trapped for a millennia or so. She might have the questions of, hey, what's the difference between boys and girls? What's the difference between loving this person and that person? Don't you love your mother and your father? Don't you love them separately for different reasons, but equally? Do people have more than one child? Do you love one more than the other? You'll love them both, differently. They're different personalities. Why can't I love someone else in that regards? And when you think about it philosophically that way, yeah, man, go polygamy. But yeah, things like that. Like, I like that that's played here, and I'm seeing all these different aspects in this character. And on top of that, my favorite part, it took forever for them to get to it, but I'm glad that they did actually get to it. And I'm glad it actually has her say, because Damien, it's mentioned that he got his butt handed to him by Red Hood. She's like, how can you want me to just like you, I trusted you with my ring, which is my prison, the control over me. Why can't you just trust me right now? And Damien actually does. Now, the next arc, this is the end of an arc. The next arc is looking to be amazing, and it's everything that a Teen Titans comic book should be. And you might be saying, Professor, how can you even say that? Well, look at what the next arc is going to be. It's in the back of the book. They tell you straight up. So, yeah, that looks like it's going to be sick. I am so looking forward to that. Yes, more of that, please. In the meantime, the comic book, like I said, just keeps on getting better issue by issue, and you can't squelch on those freaking covers. That's that. Guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.